if you read down to the 12th paragraph, you would see in their story that they brought up Mr. Honeman's name and a particular, very peculiar incident, and that is Mr. Honeman walked in one night to Officer Rollins' office. Lights were off, we're told, and found him sitting at his desk, undressed to some extent. I think he had on his undershirt, didn't have on his APD top, I guess. And Honeman notices hair under the table. He walks in with his wife and a friend of theirs. And a friend, yes. And notices hair under the desk and an extra set of feet. Mm-hmm. Turns his wife and her friend around, turns around and walks out. Tells Roland not to leave, but of course, who's not going to do that, you know? Comes back, Roland has indeed left, and doesn't say anything to Roland about not following his orders. A lot of controversy surrounding, did Mr. Honeman deal with that situation in the way that he should have, and what indeed was going on? I mean, we found out, of course, just a few years after that, Anthony Rollin has obviously raped many women, you know, taken advantage of his position as police officer. So that's the situation that happened. That's the story that essentially came out on Friday. Then on Monday yesterday, you had a conservative talk show host, Casey Reynolds, host of the Casey Reynolds radio show, went on and talked about this issue to quite some extent, called Mr. Honeman to the floor and said, you know, you've got questions to answer, X, Y, and Z. Did not accuse, I heard what Casey said. I did not think that he accused Mr. Honeman of walking into Anthony Rollins raping someone. He said you walked in on him, and essentially what he was getting at is this is someone that we know ended up raping many people. And so Mr. Honeman today, the story this morning, as of a couple hours ago, of course, is Mr. Honeman goes on the radio with Casey Reynolds and now is trying to paint this as a right-wing conspiracy. Holds this press conference yesterday morning. This whole issue, to me, is absolutely amazing. First of all, let's go to Mr. Honeman's press conference yesterday morning. No mention of these victims at all. None. Isn't that who we should be talking about in this particular case? Isn't that where our emphasis should be?
Well, I can't disagree more. I can't agree more. That obviously the victims are no, not at all. The victims are definitely should be at the forefront. This is a terrible crime against them, and you know, my heart goes out to the victim and their family. I think what he's trying to respond to is what he actually did in this case in 2006. The women that were raped, I believe, were raped in 2009. So this is prior to that. He was no longer with the police force when the women were raped. Mm-hmm. And his comments in the Anchorage Daily News story today were that he saw something going on. He knew something was strange. His quote is, I said, I was born at night, but not last night. There was something going on in here. I need to know what's going on. Come back was a phone call that he made to Officer Rollins. So he saw this incident, escorted his wife and friend out of the building into a secure area, said, wait here, I'll be right back, calls him, reports, and says, we need to discuss this, something's going on here that's inappropriate. Officer Rollins says, no, I can't, I'm on special detail, I need to go watch this construction crew, and then Honeman reports it to his superiors, and I believe internal affairs. So I think he's defending his actions, not so much trying to say that the women aren't the issue.
You know what, though? I think that it's a little too late at that point. I mean, do you walk into a crime scene and tell someone, oh, hold on, I know you're right in the middle of robbing a bank. Don't move. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Well, that is a little bit different of an example because he was with two civilians. Do you walk into a crime scene with two civilians? He wasn't on active duty. Here's somebody that may or may not have been doing something inappropriate. Now, I'm not defending his behavior. I'm not defending...
You have a sneaking suspicion that something is going on under the desk. You don't check on this person at all?
I'm not saying that you don't. But what he did was to get the civilians just out of the secured area.
You know what? You should have had them step outside. You are dealing from one police officer to another. Now, if his argument is, okay, I needed to get the civilians to a safe spot, that implies that they are now in an unsafe situation.
Well, they're in a secured area of the police department. There may be an issue, and again, this is not me defending him. I think this is what he is implying, or what he's trying to defend of himself, that they were in a secure area of the police department, that they could not be left unattended. So he, well, whatever judgment call or whatever policy or procedure this was, took them out of the area, tells Officer Rollins to wait, I'll be right back, comes back a few minutes later, and of course he's gone. That's what I think his press conference was focusing on.
I don't know if that was so much if that was the focus of his press conference. I don't know. I know I've read several things from his press conference yesterday. His press conference. What I took away from that, what I've read, and I was given the transcript actually by another reporter, what I took away from that press conference was that he was trying to paint this as he's attempting to take credibility away from someone. Casey Reynolds brought this up on the radio yesterday, essentially made note that ADN had covered the story, didn't even bring Honeman's name up till the 12th paragraph. He took it, he ran with it, as well as other conservative talk show hosts. That, to me, was kind of more or less the focus of what his press conference was for.
Okay.
You know, said that he was going to consult with his attorney. Is he, you know, implying that there was a lawsuit? Did he flat out say there was a lawsuit? I think there seems to be some discrepancy there. I did speak with Mr. Honeman a little bit before we came on the air. He was unsure of whether or not he would be able to call in today. We're hoping that he is able to. So, anyhow, want to talk to you, though, about a couple of things, especially what happened this morning.
Well, and also the lawsuit would be interesting to discuss a little bit, because, of course, the lawsuit was filed Friday, and so was something not only done through APD that was inappropriate, or were they negligent in their duties? And this particular episode, was there something here that was either negligent and or illegal?
Right, so discussing the issue with Mr. Paul Honeman walking in and finding Anthony Rollins in his office, derobed to some extent, I guess, noticing an extra pair of feet and hair, of course, in the room with the officer who we now know raped several women. So, anyhow, if you want to weigh in on that subject, our number here, 868-8914. We will be right back. You're watching Alaska Live with Bernadette on KYUR.
Change